Start your kids early. Teach them the truth. Let's see. Thank. Uh, I'm a Christian, saved by grace. I've been having a hard time dealing with my sin. I don't feel very worthy of my Lord Jesus. Oh, Herb, I can't help you with that. I don't either, brother. I've been a Christian 46 years, and I'm still humbled by the fact that God would take me at all. So if your sin bothers you, good. It should. Mine does too. You know, my wife has one of those little concave mirrors with lights around it for putting makeup on. The closer you get, the more you see every zit in your face when you get up there close to that thing. And the closer you get to the Lord, who's the light of the world, the more problems you're going to see in your own life. So getting closer to the Lord doesn't make you feel more proud. It makes you feel more embarrassed. And so I think most Christians will tell you that's been their experience. The more they read their Bible, the more they pray, the closer they actually get to the Lord, the worse they feel about it. I think it's a way to keep us humble. You know, Cain tried to approach God with his works. God, look what I did for you. Here's my fruit, my vegetables. I worked all summer for. And God wouldn't accept it. And most religions are trying to approach God the way Cain did. God, look what I did for you. I did this, I did that. That's the Muslims. Look what I did. I blew myself up. I killed all these heathen. God's not going to accept that. It's not what you do for God. It's what Jesus did for you. So the closer you get to the Lord, that's a normal reaction, Herb. That's a good sign if you're feeling really, really unworthy. Because you should. And I am. Believe me. I don't feel worthy of my Lord. Praise God. I don't either. I'm not spreading the word like I should. Boy, Herb, me neither. I think I'm going to be embarrassed Judgment Day when God's going to say, Kent, here's what I gave you. Here's what you could have done, and here's what you did. Now, what happened? I don't know, Lord. I was lazy. I'm sorry. So please forgive me. So I think we're all going to be embarrassed on that day for not doing what we could have and should have done. He says, I don't feel like I'm a good representative of God. Me neither, Herb. Do the best you can and keep serving the Lord. Okay, I didn't help at all, did it? Sorry about that. Yes, I want to encourage you. That's a good sign. A good sign that you don't feel worthy. So, yay. And so we hope to get it out one of these days when my brother straightens up, if that ever happens. Anyway, hope that helps, folks. That's a general overview, the basic picture. What in the world is happening? God created the world. He owns it. He made it. It's His. He can make any rules He wants, and He made the rules. He said, do this, don't do this. He made those rules. He destroyed the world in that big flood in the days of Noah. It's His world. He can wreck it if He wants. And even in His judgment here, He remembered mercy and saved Noah and the family. Probably took him 100 years to build that boat, and everybody in the world knew about crazy Noah building that thing, and anybody could have gotten on that boat. God provided a way through His judgment, the flood. And Jesus Christ is the only way to get through this coming judgment. If you have Jesus Christ as your Lord and your Savior, you've been forgiven. The judgment of God, the wrath of God will not fall on you. 1 Thessalonians 1:10 and 5:9, we are not appointed unto wrath. We will get tribulation. And that's the only way I can make it all fit. So we'll get all that together in the book. But if you're listening to this program today and you're not sure you're going to heaven, what if you died today? I hope you don't, but you might. I might too. Where are you going? You're going to be dead for an extremely long time. I mean, you might want to pack for that trip. You know, you're going to be gone for a while. Where are you going? And this is where, February 9th, 1969, my friend said, Kent, if you died today, where would you go? I said, I don't know. He said, well, have you ever sinned? Have you ever broken any of God's laws? Are you a sinner? I said, yeah. He said, well, then you're going to hell. I said, well, I don't want to go to hell. He said, Jesus died on the cross. His blood will pay for your sin if you'll accept His payment. I said, I'd like that. And so by faith, I believed that Jesus died for me, rose from the dead, and Jesus moved into my heart and my life, February 9th, 1969. It's like planting a seed. You plant a seed in the dirt. The dirt is 100% stupid. Dirt knows absolutely nothing. The seed knows how to make the tree. But the seed can't do its job unless the dirt will accept it. So you open up the dirt, drop the seed in, add a little water, and the tree grows. I'm the dirt. Jesus is the seed. I invited Him in, and something started growing inside 46 years ago. Like, wow, what is going on in there? And He'll do the same for you. You just invite Him to come in. Jesus, I'm a sinner. Would you forgive me and save me? And that simple act of faith, it wasn't the prayer that saves you. It's God's answer to the prayer that saves you. You can have a tape recorder pray a prayer. Does God answer the prayer is the secret. You just are the dirt. Say, Lord, I'm nothing. I'm a sinner. I'm wicked. I'm vile. Forgive me and save me. And His blood was put onto my account. And I'm forgiven. So when I stand before God at that great white throne judgment, He's going to open the books and say, Kent Hovind. And all the atheists are going to be, wow, he's going to get his now. Now we're going to find out what that guy was really like. And the angel's going to say, the book's clear, Lord, nothing here. Hovind, come on in. And the skeptics and scoffers and Hovind haters are going, what do you mean? He's a liar, he's a thief, he stole money, he didn't pay his taxes. They're going to have their long list. Angel's going to say, shut up. I said the book's clear. Come in. My sins are gone. I mean, like, gone. And that's amazing. Matthew 1, 2, 3, 4. Matthew 12, 34, 5, and 6. Talk about every idle word that men shall speak. They shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. God has a record of everything you've ever said, everything you ever thought, and everything you ever did. And if you don't want that record read out loud in front of everybody who ever lived, you better get on your knees and call out for Jesus to save you. That's the only way to get that record clean. Mine's gone. I'd love to stand next to you up there in heaven, and God says, calls your name, says, record clear, come on in. He will clear it out. It's wonderful. It's not that I've never sinned. It's that it's paid for by Jesus Christ. So this is kind of the big picture of history, and I thought about just turning my chalkboard around, having my regular charts, and doing a broadcast, because I have about 4,000 questions to answer that have been sent in. I said, well, the backside of these things, they showed on the other side, sticking out past my other chart. And I thought, well, somebody's going to say, what's that thing sticking out? That's what it is, my paper chart. We'll work on that later on. Please, if you've not accepted Christ, do so today. And let me know. I'm sorry, I'm so far behind on emails and phone calls and all that. I'm trying, okay? But if you really, if you want to leave a quick message, Hannah is such a blessing to me. She's just a young lady in North Carolina that wants to help do volunteer secretarial work. Get a hold of her. It's so bountifully at mail.com. And tell her, hey, I got saved. I gave my heart to the Lord. That's the purpose of my ministry, my existence in life, is not to make money. It's not to get rich. It's to get people into the kingdom. Everything here is going to burn. Everything you work for all of your life is going to burn too. Don't do that. Invest it in the heavenly kingdom. Hope that helps. Thank you so much. What do you think of this approach to evangelism? Can't answer the question, Daniel. I don't know what he does or what he teaches. I'm in favor of evangelism. I've often said, you know, if a boat tips over and everybody's drowning, I don't think the people care how you save them. Drag them in by their hair, drag them in by their foot, drag them in by their eyebrow. I don't think they care. Just drag them in. And it's kind of that way with salvation and soul winning. Just go get people converted. Go talk to them about the Lord. In the book of Jude, it says, you know, you save some with fear. There's different ways to get people converted, to get people to believe the gospel. Some people respond to logic. A equals B, B equals C, therefore A equals C. Oh, yeah, okay, now I see. Yep, I'll accept Christ. They respond to the logical, geometry type proof approach. Wonderful. Others respond to the compassion. Oh, would you please accept me? The weeping and crying. And I'm not a whole lot on that side, but we need people who are. So we need people to go soul winning and evangelize with compassion, some with logic and rationale. The Bible says in Jude, some respond to with fear, save with fear. I think Jonah went to Nineveh preaching, and he hated those people. You're going to hell in 40 days, and I can't wait. Ha, ha, ha. And they got saved. You can go stand on a street corner or go talk to somebody at the mall and say, look, I hate you, and I hate what you stand for, and I hate what you do, but you need to be saved. You don't have to be, there's not a particular right way to share the gospel. Just share the gospel. If I'm starving, I walk into a restaurant. The waitress says, hello, here's your hamburger. Thank you very much. Okay. Or if the waitress comes in and says, hey, here's your hamburger, slaps it down. I don't care. I just want to eat a hamburger. Just give it to me either way. So it's kind of that way with the gospel. Just get the gospel out there somehow. And if you don't like my way of doing it, then do it your way. But do it. Okay, next question is, Anyway, so I can't answer the question about his approach to evangelism and presuppositional apologetics. I don't know. I talked to my son. That's more his expert, my son Eric, over at creationtoday.org. Here's one from Brendan. Don't know what country this is from. It doesn't say. Maybe it does. Hello, Brother Hovind. I absolutely love what you do and hope you get used to the technology soon. Oh, maybe someday. Also, hello, Hannah, if you're still doing the secretary job. It's a non-paying job, but she's doing a wonderful job, and thank you, Hannah. She does want me to find her a husband from all of this, and so the problem is she wanted a smart one. I said, you got to wait till they're 25 for that. They look good at 18, but the brain doesn't start to grow till 25. Much later in some that I've met. Matter of fact, I was just locked up with some that I don't think it started yet. That's another story. Okay. He says, I've been saved November of 2014, but I'm still yet to be baptized. This might be an issue because there is no one in my life who can do it for me. I'm the only saved Christian in my family and my friends. There are no churches near me. And I'm 16, so I can't move to a place with a good church quite yet. Also, I'm in Ireland. Well, there's the answer to my question. So most churches are Catholic, which isn't really me, to be honest. Do you think I could baptize myself? No, Brendan. I think the biblical pattern certainly is for someone else to baptize. The word baptize means to immerse, to overwhelm, to plunge. Some churches, they say they baptize people by pouring water on them. Some sprinkle water on their head. Neither of those is the biblical model of baptism. In the Bible, it's always by dunking under the water and pulling back up. You can read the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts, and see that over and over and over. I don't think I'd worry about it. It's not part of salvation. It's a public symbol. It's like putting on a wedding ring. Okay, this does not make me married. I can take it off, still married. Somebody else can put my ring on. It doesn't mean they're married. It's simply a public symbol. This shows people that I made a promise, and this is the public way to, announce, hey, Hovind promised to live with this woman for better, for worse, for rich or poor, and all that kind of stuff. It's just a sign of something that happened unrelated to the sign. Baptism is a sign that you have accepted Christ, and you get buried and raised from the dead in a symbol. It's symbolic. So if you can't right now, don't worry about it. Eventually you will. The thief on the cross obviously could not get baptized. He was preoccupied. So if you can't, I would say, don't worry about it. God will provide a way. But it should be by immersion, and I think it should be by a preacher, an ordained preacher, which is another whole series of questions of exactly who decides who's a preacher and who gets ordained and that. So without getting into all those arguments, I think you probably should just wait and ask God to provide somebody. I know there are a lot of good churches in Ireland. I've preached there 3 times, I believe, over the years. So I would do a Google search, and as a general rule, my teaching and thinking is the Baptists are a little closer to what the Bible teaches on most topics, though there are some pretty bad Baptist churches out there. But I look for those as being a little closer on most doctrines that I think the Bible teaches. And I know there are several Baptist churches. I preached in Dublin, Cork, and Limerick. I don't know which one of those you're close to, but I'll tell you what, if you call creationtoday.org, my son's ministry about a mile from here, and ask my daughter Marlissa, who works there, if she could search the database, because we got a bunch of folks in there, and find the names of those churches that I preached at, and contact them and say, do you know somebody close to me, wherever you are over there in Ireland? Okay, hope that helps, Brendan. I'll be praying for you. But even if you can't get baptized right away, don't worry about it. Just keep reading the Bible and growing. Read the book. Soak your brain in that book. Okay, here we go. David writes, don't see where from here. Oh, Pennsylvania. Can you do a session on ERVs? I don't know for sure what you're talking about there. Maybe send me some more data on that. ERV can stand for all kinds of things, I would think. I can think of a bunch of stuff. I know Tim Smith was one of my best friends in high school, helped disciple me after I got saved. He lives up in, he pastors a church up in Illinois. I forget the name of the town now. But he and I got an invitation to come to a youth activity one time, and it said, bring your PMA. Well, we couldn't figure out what on earth is PMA. So we got a box, and we filled it full of all kinds of things. We had a stuffed bird that was pretty beat up, and we called it a pretty mangled aviator. We took an apple and took a few bites out of it and put it in there and called it a partially masticated apple, PMA. And we had a whole box full of stuff like that. And found out it means proper mental attitude, PMA. Oh, well, why didn't you say that? You would have saved us from hauling this box around. So I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry about that on an EVA. Let's see. Okay, I have conflict in schedule here. We're going to have to call this. Hannah, if you can put this and the previous one, which stopped recording, I think it did, together and make a broadcast, that would be great. And this is a blessing. I'm so sorry, I cannot keep up. The questions are coming in faster than I can answer them. Hannah's trying to organize them, and what a blessing she is. But more important than getting all kinds of questions answered is, where are you going when you die? Give your heart to the Lord. Get saved. Then read His book and do what He wants you to do. If you have questions, send them in. We'll get to them as quick as we can. Thanks a lot. This one from Polish Catholic. Have some questions for you. 15 questions. Okay, I'll hurry. Quickly here. Where can I find books about Islam and Catholicism and about Pope John Paul? I don't know. This is not my field of expertise. I think it is interesting. Someone sent me an article. Where did I put that? My piling system here. The Bible clearly says, don't add to this book. Do not add to this book, okay? God's Word is finished. And yet in the Quran, it refers to the Bible. So in this interesting article, I said, wait a minute now, how can the Quran be a holy book if it says the Bible's a holy book, but the Bible says don't add to this book? Isn't that self-contradictory? Wouldn't Muhammad be contradicting himself to say that he has a new revelation from God if God had said don't add to the book, and then he recommends the book that says don't add to this book? Interesting bit of logic there for someone to try to work on. I'll leave that for somebody else. I got other dragons to slay. Okay, number 2. What do you think of Scott Hahn, H-A-H-N, and his arguments for Catholicism? I'm sorry, I don't know Scott or his arguments. I would be strongly against many things that Catholics teach. I could support many things they teach, the virgin birth, etc. But their method of salvation is purely a works religion, and many things they teach I would be very strongly against as far as their doctrine. Not the people, just the doctrine. Number 3. Do you think Catholicism is the harlot from the Apocalypse? Don't know, possibly. That certainly has some of the earmarks of that. I'll tell you the guy you need to see on that topic would be David Daniels at chick.com. He has good stuff on that. Who else? There's many, many books on this topic. That's somebody else's dragon to slay. I got enough to do on evolution. Okay, number 4. Why do you think the Catholics removed the second commandment? That's not true. Okay, now, I have said several times that the second commandment, don't make any idols, graven images, in Exodus chapter 20. It's not removed from the Catholic Bible. Okay, I don't think I've ever said that. But if you get a little pamphlet from the Catholic Church, oftentimes they'll say, here are the 10 commandments, in little doctrinal booklets and stuff when they teach on this, and it will not have the second commandment. Instead, they split the 10th commandment into 2. Don't covet your neighbor's wife, and don't covet your neighbor's, property or something. So they do leave it out in their teaching and in their booklet, because it is kind of embarrassing to have a commandment that says don't make a graven image when their church is full of graven images. So that's my take on that. They do leave it out of some of their articles and things that I've seen. Let's see. Have a friend from. If you have a friend from Poland, please have him translate, and you give me a bunch of websites here. I can't do that, possibly. I only know about 4 Polish words. Jak się mać, that kind of stuff. Let's see. Number 5. Why do you think the Roman Catholic Church forbade and harmed people who translated the Bible from Latin? Well, I think it's pretty well historical that they did. Anyone who would translate the Bible into the common language was really given a hard time, like Wycliffe and Tyndale and Martin Luther. And I mean, there's a long list of people being really severely persecuted or killed for putting the Bible into what's called the common language, or the vernacular of the people. I think the reason would be quite obvious. The Catholic Church teaches some things that the Bible is against or does not support, and so they would not want people reading their Bible, because then they would quit being a Catholic. So I think that's again, somebody else's dragon to slay. There are many good books on that. Where did I see? I think Chick.com has a whole series of books on Catholics and their teaching. There's I spoke at a conference once with a guy who that was his full-time ministry, is ministering to Catholics. They're wonderful people. It's the doctrine that I'm against, not the people. It's what they teach. Let's see, question 6. They faked. This is probably a Polish person trying to speak English here. You believe me, your English is much better than my Polish would be. Something. Persons because they faked Bible like Luther and Hussite. Sorry, I don't understand the question. What do you think of penalization of homosexuality, prostitution, and adultery, like the ban on mixed beaches, like in Singapore, or the ban on homo parades? What do you think of this quote, Romans 13? Well, certainly the Bible's pretty clear about adultery and fornication and homosexuality. I mean, just real clear. Some countries, like Singapore, enforce some of their laws with caning or beating, as you mentioned here. I think that's a lot cheaper than prison and a lot better for everybody involved. At least give the guy an option. If you're going to arrest somebody in America, give them the option. We're going to take a cane, we're going to whip you 20 times, or send you to prison for 5 years. They would all take the caning or the beating. Everybody would. I mean, 5 years. And it would save a whole bunch of money. And you don't have to say that's cruel and mean. Let the person decide. If you'd rather go to prison for 5 years, then go. But let them decide. Let them make that simple decision. Which one do you want? So I think there certainly needs to be, government has to enforce, rules and regulations of some kind. What should the punishment be is really the question. Is it prison? So far the only string on the fiddle in America is prison, 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 prison. And that string's out of tune. That needs to be shut down. Good morning. Kent Hovind here, July 30th, I think. I got it wrong yesterday. It was 29th. Doesn't matter. Anyway, my name is Kent Hovind. I was a high school science teacher 15 years, and yesterday made an open challenge, or I guess acceptance of the challenge made to me to debate a group called the Drunken Atheists, or Drunken something, Peasants. Anyway, I watched some of their video and read some of their comments, and I have... And quite a few people watched that one, by the way, over 7,000 so far in less than a day. So anyway, we will keep you up to date on that situation. Hope they accept the challenge. However, from their comments and videos, I have a few of my own comments to make. This is to the atheists now, and to the those who use the incredible profanity. I just spent the last 9 years in prisons and county jails with some people, incredibly profane people. They think they are cool because they can use swear words or whatever. Let me explain something to you, okay? The acronym for the New York law, I believe, the people who are found under carnal knowledge, it starts with the F word here, that you guys use so frequently and seem to think you have a corner on the market. It is a verb, fellas. It is not an adjective, okay? Verbs and adjectives are different. Get a dictionary and look it up. You need to study some basic English 101. You are misusing the word. And if you think it makes you look cool or shows you are tough or shows you are smart, you're an idiot. You're a fool. No, it shows your lack of intelligence and your lack of knowledge of the English language. And then in the county jails and in the prisons, they're always using the word mother in front of that word. Like, I don't recall ever even thinking of that when I was growing up. Why on earth would anyone want to even think about that, let alone do such a thing with their mother? Hello, what on earth is wrong? Anyway, so if you'd like a little help in the English language, I'm no English expert. I taught science and math. I can help you with English a little bit too, though. Which you're misusing the word. And you need to get what's called a dictionary and look up some new words, because you seem to have an extremely limited vocabulary consisting of 5 or 6 basic words. And the word you consistently use that starts with an S, which farmers normally shovel out of their field, that is a noun, okay? I cannot comprehend the thinking or lack thereof for people who continually use words and think they are cool and tough and smart, etc. Anyway, I'm here to help you. And I hope the debate comes off, but this is precisely why, after reading the comments and watching the video, precisely why we need a moderator. If you can't grow up and talk like an adult and use some common sense language and abstain from profanity, then we'll just pull the plug and you're out of the debate. It's just that simple. I don't want to hear it. This is not a trash can. You do what you want with your mouth. Why you would put things in your mouth that I wouldn't even hold in my hand is mind-boggling to me. Anyway, I forgot to turn the air conditioner off again, Hannah, so edit out the sound if you can. I'm answering questions from atheists and skeptics and scoffers here that got sent to me. You don't want to hear. What you don't want to hear is God created the world. God wrote a book about it. He preserved that book all through time. I'm holding a copy of it here. And you are going to stand before that God one day and be judged based upon the rules that the Creator gave. That's what you really don't want to hear. Like, thou shalt not commit adultery. Some people don't like that. Thou shalt not steal. They don't like that, so because they want to steal or they want to commit adultery. So rather than say, you know, I'm going to face this God one day, I better get right, they just say, oh, that's a bunch of lies. It's not true, and we can forget about it. So as far as watching the old seminars, I think many, many thousands have. I mean, you can check right here on YouTube and see how many people watch them. And I think they contain stuff that's really helpful. The evolution theory is stupid. It's dumb, real dumb, capital D dumb. And the God made the world, and you will face Him one day. And I am your best friend by telling you, you better get ready for that day. If the bridge was out and I'm standing there on the street waving, stop, 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 I'm not your enemy, I'm your friend. Watch the Audacity movie about the homosexuals. Ray Comfort did a great job on that Audacity movie. You're the person's best friend if you tell them the truth. Anyway, let's see. Here we go. Super Coop writes in. Hello, Dr. Dino. Hope all is well. I want to know how you get people past the indoctrination of science or blind faith in man. Well, science means knowledge, things that we know. The problem is some people think evolution is part of science because it's all mixed in the textbooks. Well, beer is sold at football games, quite often. Beer has nothing to do with football. Nothing. It doesn't become athletic by association. It doesn't make you a super athlete because you can drink a beer. There's no relation. And evolution theory, or religion, is mixed in with science. I agree, and I'm sorry about that. I'm disappointed. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. There's no question. Evolution theory is mixed into science textbooks, but that doesn't make it part of science. Evolution is purely a religious worldview. Let's see, how do you get them past that? I don't know. I've been trying for 25 years now. Super Coop, I'm trying. I find people just repeat what they hear and really have no proof. I agree. There's no evidence whatsoever for any of the evolution theory of religion above microevolution, which I cover in video 4 of my series. Anyway, just wanted your thoughts on this, and I know evolution is a lie, and the Big Bang as well, all of it. Well, all of it. The whole story is there to discredit God, in my opinion. Do you agree? Oh, yeah, there's only two options. There's a creator or there isn't. If there's a creator, He owns it. And you got to do what He says. If there's no creator, then there are no rules. Actually, if there's no creator, how do you tell right from wrong? I've asked atheists this question all over the world. If your theory is true, if evolution is true, how do you tell right from wrong on any topic? Is abortion right or wrong? Is murder right or wrong? Is anything, adultery, fornication, is anything, homosexuality, is anything right or wrong? And if so, how do you tell? How do we tell what's right and wrong on any topic if your theory is true? Love to have an answer to that one. Okay, here's one from Ian who writes in. Hello, Brother Hovind. I'm rejoicing in your freedom. Thankful for all your knowledge you've given me through your seminars. I've been able to apply this wisdom to support creation. I'm curious if you planned on doing more debates with professors now that you're in freedom. Ian, I would love to. They run. They won't do it. Sure, bring them on. I can do them right here, sitting at right here in front of my lousy charts and the chalkboard, without putting my shoes on. Right here in the what used to be the garage, closed into the family room, playroom. It used to be 6 offices in here for the ministry. Now Eric's moved over about a mile on W Street. But yeah, I'll do it right from here. Half my brain tied behind my back. 2/3 of my brain in most cases for these guys. Okay, so do you plan on doing more debates? I would love to. They won't do it. It's like a world champion boxer can't find an opponent. Okay, well, I guess you're a world champion then. All those grown men fighting over the same ball, and they can all afford to go buy their own. It doesn't interest me at all. Not interested. I tell people, if you practice for thousands of hours and spend thousands of dollars to get really nice golf clubs, if you really practice for thousands of hours, someday you will be able to knock a ball into a hole in the dirt. Oh, not interested. Okay. Well, so I think I'm more educated. I try to be. I want to learn. I want to learn everything I can. Let's see. So I just do what I feel called to do, and let other people do what they want. I don't build cars. I'll buy one somebody else built. I know how to build a house, but I'm not going to build one. I'm going to let somebody else build it because I want to do what I think God's called me to do. Number 3, what are your thoughts on the new laws passed where gays now have the right to get married anywhere? Well, first of all, it's not gay, okay? There's nothing gay about it. They're some of the most miserable people on the planet. So to me, gay means bright, colorful, happy. They're not happy, okay? But as far as the laws, what is the government doing getting involved in marriage at all? Why is there any such thing as a marriage license? I mean, Abe Lincoln didn't have one. George Washington didn't have one. There was no such thing as a marriage license until after the Civil War. You might want to study that topic out. So why is the government getting involved in this at all, is the question. I said, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, anyway. Number, whatever it is, 4 million here. I often have long arguments with atheists in Facebook, and one argument they presented to support their belief in evolution is the useless organs of the human body. This is something, again, I cover on video 4, lies in the textbooks. There are no useless organs. They used to say the appendix in the humans is vestigial. It's not. It's part of your immune system. Now, it's true you can live without your appendix. I understand. You can live without both your arms, too, and both your eyes, and both your ears. There's a lot of stuff you could live without. Does that mean you don't need it? Think about it. There are no useless organs. And if there were, wouldn't that be losing something, not gaining something? Isn't that the opposite of evolution? Like cave fish, losing their eyes. Okay. Well, yeah, because an eye in a cave where there is no light is a hindrance because it's sensitive. I mean, eyes are complicated. You can bump it or scratch it and it gets infected and you die. Okay, well then it'd be more useful for the fish to not have those eyes. So, but losing eyes is not evolution. It's if you can't figure that out, I cannot help you. Sorry about that. I do have a bridge I want to sell you, though. Okay. You also mentioned in this argument, this is an argument against evolution. It is losing, not gaining. Can you explain this in more detail? Okay, just that. Losing eyes on a cave fish is losing an incredible amount of information in the DNA code that builds the eye. It's losing an unbelievably complex organ, i.e. the eye, the optic nerve, and the visual cortex, and it's not gaining a thing. Evolution, that's the exact opposite of what evolutionists need. If they're using that as an example of how their theory works, they really, really, really need help. Okay. Thank you so much. I strongly support your work. English is not my mother language, and unfortunately I cannot express my feelings the way I want. I'm Orthodox and a member of the Orthodox Church. I think you would find it very interesting if you search about it and study it. You may take this as a challenge. Oh, I studied the Orthodox Church. I think I know what they believe on quite a few things. I would disagree strongly. I would suggest, Simon, take this as a challenge from Kent. Read this book. Very carefully, just read it. When you're done, read it again, and I think you will eventually become a Baptist. My humble, totally unbiased, and correct opinion. Take that as a challenge. Okay, Jonathan writes, Dr. Hovind, I was an evolutionist my entire life until I heard your radio interview here in Detroit 15 years ago. I was really interested in what you had to say. I brought all your VHS videos back then and watched them all and became a creationist. Thank you for your ministry. Well, praise God. Thank you. My question, can you explain the Genome Project? Also, do the findings support evolution or creation? The reason I ask is because I've heard people mention this as proof of evolution. Okay, they are finally decoding some of the genes in the chromosomes of different animals. The Genome Project. Okay, they're finally unraveling the code. They're not creating any code. They're finally being able to read and transcribe the code, the sequence, CATG and all this stuff about the genomes. And that's proof for evolution. The fact that after a bunch of intelligent people can spend millions of dollars and finally read the code. Do you think there are people who could get into your computer and through pushing certain buttons, they could call up the code, the sequence, the lines of code for Microsoft Word? Well, yeah, they could get into the code into the original language behind what we currently see on our computer is just really an interface, okay? If somebody could get into your computer and read the code for Microsoft Word, would that prove nobody wrote the code? Well, no. The fact that the human genome is so complicated is classic evidence that it was created. It was designed by a really smart creator. So yes, I'm familiar with the Genome Project, and I think what they're going to find is a lot of these different animals have similar genomes in certain areas. Certain sequences are identical. Okay, I think you'll find certain sequences are identical in all of the Microsoft programs. You can click Control S and save things in quite a few different Microsoft programs. Yeah, that's proof we all came from a rock 14 billion years ago. Okay, here we go. Last one, and we got to quit. I'm sorry, I'm way over time. I try to get them 35 minutes here. Kevin writes, last one. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Simple, Kevin, the chicken. God made the animals and told them to be fruitful and multiply and go replenish the earth. Tell me what you think about evolution. It depends what you mean, Kevin. If you mean microevolution, variations within the kind, I think it's great. I think it happens all the time. I think it's evidence of a designer who's really smart, who knew that some of these critters are going to end up in cold climate and some are going to end up in warm climate, so he'll make the code adaptable to both. Really good thinking. That car my wife drives has a heater and an air conditioner. That's proof of something. Okay. All my life I've been taught we evolved from primates, the thing I don't understand now. Well, after reading some of the things these guys wrote on the whatever that group is that wants to debate me, and watching part of their video, they almost made me a believer. Only that would be an embarrassment to the apes. I mean, I wouldn't want to wish that on an ape. Anyway, thank you, fellas, folks. Well, send your questions, Hannah. What a blessing you are. Thank you. Keep sending them. I'll keep doing it as fast as I can go. Thank you so much.